I'm very grateful. We go way back with Veterans for Peace. We've had not just here in Albuquerque, and we're very grateful for Chapter 63's help to kind of ignite things for my wife's second book, because that did go actually to number one in three separate categories, and we're very, very grateful. We also work closely with Stan Levin and the folks in San Diego. I'm not sure what chapter that is out there, but they're and I actually got called today from is it Greenville, North Carolina? From it was just serendipitously from another VFP organization out there. So I commend all of you. You are good souled people. If everybody had 10% of what you guys have as Homo sapiens, we wouldn't be facing a cataclysm in about 20 days in this country. But before we get to that, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about the origin story of the foundation. We've actually had some good news. We had a Hollywood script written about us 22 months ago, and of last week on Friday of last week, we reached agreement with a New York production company to start moving to try to get the film produced. It's not a documentary. There's actors playing young Mikey and my wife, young Bonnie, and then the ages we are at now. So we'll have to figure out who's going to play you, Willard, but we'll get to that. Yeah, my wife and I started out as pissed off parents. Really started on February 4th, 2004. So we're in our 21st year now. And I owe it all to Mel Gibson, because he came out with that wonderful family movie that you may remember, The Passion of the Christ, or as we refer to it, the Jesus Chainsaw Massacre, or Freddy versus Jesus. The pressure being put on our three kids at the academy at that time. And we have four kids and three grandkids. And, three of our kids, went to the Air Force Academy, and I did as well. And the pressure being put on the faculty, cadets, and staff to go see that miserable movie was absolutely intense. And that's when it got my attention that something's wrong here. Houston, we have a problem. And so we started out with 5 cadets as clients. 3 of them were Jewish, 2 were atheist or agnostic. And now we're over 90,400 clients all these years later. About 95% of our clients are actually practicing Christians. You got to think about that for a second. 3/4 Protestants of a rainbow of denominations. Now the other fourth Roman Catholic. And they're being oppressed by military superiors simply for one reason. They're not being Christian enough. Of course, we have hundreds of Jews, and we represent, I think it's a little more than all of 18% of all Muslims in the U.S. military. We've had every faith you can imagine, including the Jedi faith. It's right, the Church of the Jedi, right out of Star Wars. We don't care if you worship Spider-Man or nobody. All we care about is whether or not you, as a military superior, feel that that you have the right to deploy your faith in whatever time, place, and manner, as long as your time, place, and manner is in accordance with the U.S. Constitution and it's construing federal and state case law, as well as all the directions, instructions, and regulations of the Pentagon. We're going to be okay. It's just like driving a car. You have a driver's license, but you can't drive if you're drunk or stoned or too tired to drive. We also have clients in all 18 national security agencies, like the ones everybody knows about, the NSA, the DIA, and the CIA. We have clients in the Coast Guard, which is not DOD, that's the Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Maritime Service, specifically the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy up in New York, Kings Point, New York, and that's actually the Department of Transportation. We're not a complex meal, ladies and gentlemen, like Chateaubriand. We're a simple hamburger. You cannot use your position of authority over a helpless subordinate to push your weaponized version of the gospel of Jesus Christ down their throat. Problem is, if you're a subordinate in the military, besides myself, anybody out there ever been in the military? Okay. Then you guys know that your military, the dynamic between your military superior of any superior rank and you is not the same as your shift manager at KFC, McDonald's, or Starbucks and you. The military has its own criminal code, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Its job is to maximize good order, morale, discipline, and unit cohesion. Therefore, adultery, having sexual intercourse with someone other than your spouse, is a felony. It's routinely prosecuted and defended. I've done both of those, been on both sides of that as a judge advocate. And it's a felony. And if you're ordered to go to the base dentist at 1600 hours or 4 p.m. and you don't go, it's a felony, because in the military, it's a very, very different thing. So trying to stand up, like I said, if you're even being gently evangelized by your military superior, shut the F up, sir or ma'am, is not an option for you. So they come to us. We do it. We're very aggressive and we're very militant. And our militancy and aggression is in support of the civil rights of our members of the military. You can't fight back. And so we are not like other organizations. We tried, and I apologize, if I get a call while we're here today, I'm going to take it. Nobody will ever get a voicemail. When my kids were facing anti-Semitism at my school, the Air Force Academy, we tried to get the ACLU involved. We couldn't get them on the phone. We tried other organizations. They're all good organizations. We work with them all now, but we couldn't get any attention. We have over 1,100 people that work here at the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. And like most civil rights organizations, the vast majority are volunteers. Of course, we have a significant paid staff, but we have MRFF representatives on almost all military installations around the world. We have 2 at Kirtland, where I was born. And we have them on nuclear submarines. We have them on aircraft carriers. Probably the easiest way to describe how simple all this is was when we first started, we've been out maybe a year or two. And I remember somehow I met Willard very, very soon, very early on. He's been one of the earliest activists associated with us. It might have been at a presentation in Albuquerque, maybe at B'nai Israel. I forget where it was. Do you remember, Willard?
No, I don't remember. It's been a long time ago.
It's been a long time. We helped out a young 19-year-old Navajo sailor who, of course, his religious faith, his Native American faith, it's about 10,000 years old, a little longer than any of the Abrahamic faiths of Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. He was being mercilessly proselytized to on a large aircraft carrier by his chief petty officer. He found out about us. We were able to move in quickly, very swiftly, get the CPO, the chief petty officer, disciplined and moved to another side of the ship. Those things, they have 5,000 sailors. They're like cities. And about a week later, we got a message through a place that I'm sure most of you have heard about, called Window Rock, Arizona, the capital of the Navajo Nation, from his parents. It was from the sailor that said, please tell Mr. Weinstein and the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and I have chills as I say this right now, thank you for being the voices we are not allowed to speak with. Sounds simple, but trying to speak truth to power from a subordinate to a superior in the military, and you risk the felony of insubordination. We're civilians. They can't do anything to us, and we will light you up. And we do it all the time. Willard, and Bill, I think recently, Willard, you've been on our list for a long time. Our distribution list, we had a press release that came out today that I sent to you, and Bill, you and Willard. When I woke up this morning, people ask me all the time, well, what's your day like? I don't know. I woke up, sat down, I'm like a piece of flotsam on the ocean. I had 1 million phone calls and texts from people in the Pentagon and various National Guard bureaus, based on what Trump had said yesterday about the fact that he would use the military as a cudgel, if you will, to go after those leftist maniacs, not the immigrants. He goes, no, it's the danger from within. They wanted me to use my bullet pulpit because I'm a public figure, which you think would be cool. If you're a Hollywood actor or a professional athlete, I'm sure it's cool to be a public figure. If you do what I do and you're a public figure, it's not cool. It's lonely, dangerous, brutal, and expensive. You live with elite level German Shepherds, security dogs. You carry lots of weapons. You have weapons and you have cameras around your house. You work with bodyguards all the time. We just used one on Saturday because we couldn't go to the Air Force New Mexico football game without a bodyguard. So it's not cool. The bottom line here is that we are going to stand up for those who can't fight for themselves. And we do it very fast and very effectively. No one will ever get a voicemail when they try to get a hold of us. And I'm the tip of the spear. And so I woke up this morning and I saw all these requests for help from what Trump had said. Can you do something? It happens a lot. So I decided to write I call it the world's shortest op-ed. And I sent it to you guys. And it hit #1 at the Daily Kos today, trending. Not narcissism, just necessity to let you know that the most competitive part of the news cycle in the week is the first early morning Monday one. I didn't think it was. I wanted to get it out there for our clients so they could show it to people. I don't even remember what I wrote now, but our staff, our media folks in LA, and our researchers in New Jersey got it all set, and we shot it out there, and it's still trending at number 3 right now. And all I said was, can you believe that we're actually having this discussion? Remember, the JP4, that's the military designation for jet fuel. The JP4 of January 6, 2021 is Christian nationalism, Christian extremism. And that is the essence of Trump and his MAGA organization. And of course, they've come out with something called Project 2025. Project 2025 is to Trump as Mein Kampf was to Hitler. They're not even hiding it. They're going to say, here's what we're going to do. It's 900 pages, 30 some chapters. And if you've heard of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, in the fictional country of Gilead, where America, there's been a takeover by fundamentalist Christian nationalism. Well, that's it. When we first started, as Willard knows, I mean, people would laugh at us. They'd say, oh, Mikey and his organization, they're wearing those tinfoil hats. Oh, there's going to be some sort of Christian takeover. Hello, it's here. And in 20 days, we have an election. It's my own personal fear that we're going to see some sort of a serious, non-bloodless civil war, no matter who wins. I think you all would agree with me that it's not Trump himself. It's half of this country that supports him. And some of them are women, they're Jews, they're Hispanics, they're African Americans, they're Native Americans. I went to the state fair and I saw a guy at when I went to the Indian Village wearing a Trump 2024 hat. He was from one of the, I think it was from, forget which one of the local tribe and pueblos he was there. How do you explain this? That's a rhetorical question. The madness here. I lost over 100 members of my family in Germany in places called Dachau, Auschwitz, Mauthausen, Bergen-Belsen. I couldn't understand growing up how a scientifically advanced country like Germany could have this happen. Now I understand. Now I understand. So fundamentalist Christianity and Christian nationalism is terrible if it's in the Albuquerque sewage workers or the cops, APD, AFR, Albuquerque Fire and Rescue, or any place, any community. It's terrible if it's in middle schools, elementary schools, high schools, legislatures. My son fights it. He's a 3-term member of the House of Representatives in Ohio. And in 20 days, he's running for the Senate there now. But it is beyond description, hideous, wretched, and fatal when it is where all of our nuclear weapons are, and I know how much Veterans for Peace love nuclear weapons, all of our laser-guided weapons, all of our conventional weapons, all of our drones in the military. And I'm here to tell you that the Pentagon, or should I call it the Pentecostal gun, is inextricably intertwined and has become an alloy with this very same Christian nationalism. Willard, you may remember that about a month ago, we blew up the Army's Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel, a 3-star general, Lieutenant General Brian S. Eifler, because of he and his wife's connection to something called the New Apostolic Reformation and the 7 Mountains Mandate. Too much beyond the scope of this presentation today. Just understand that's not even Christian nationalism. That is Christian terrorism. That is the Christian version of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, the Taliban, and ISIS. And this is how close we are. Surely you remember a man by the name of Michael Flynn, the National Security Advisor to Trump. He went to jail. Oh, that was until Trump pardoned him. He has a brother, Charlie Flynn. Charlie is a 4-star Army general who commands the entire United States Army in the Pacific. I can go on and on and on, but I can say this: when I talk to people that stand up and speak truth to power, like Veterans for Peace, it's one of my favorite groups. You guys know what it feels like to do that. You will, if you're going to make this decision to stand up for something bigger than yourself, you will estrange yourself from prior friends and family. We've all lost them. And in the world of MAGA, my gosh, many of my classmates from the academy won't even talk to me. And I think many times my view is that we are better defined as human beings by whoever it is who hates and loathes us than by those who love and cherish us. So I'm okay dealing with the threats. We get about a dozen to a dozen and a half fairly grotesque threats of death and dismemberment and violence on a daily basis. We've had the windows shot out of our house twice. We live up in Sandia Heights. It's not the South Valley. I'm just saying the fact. We've had innocent animals beheaded and disemboweled and left on the front of the house. We've had swastikas and crucifixes painted on the house, beer bottles and feces thrown at the house, and tires slashed. So we're careful. We have the guns and the bodyguards. We have a close relationship with Sheriff John Allen, the Democrat, and with my very dear friend, the district attorney, Sam Bregman. And the other day, we got 3 threats in. All of them were the same, that they were going to rape us, then burn us, then shoot us in the head, and then hang us from some tree somewhere. And of course, you have to take this stuff seriously. Just like when you buckle up when you drive your car, you don't expect you're going to have an accident, but you must be prepared if it happens. So my feelings about Veterans for Peace is that you guys are all in. You're like us at MRFF. We will fly the airplane into the mountaintop to prevent this kind of stuff. Most Americans, particularly here in Albuquerque, don't want to hear about the fact that, oh, yeah, this used to belong to the Indians. The truth is, America was built on 2 things: slavery and the stealing of the manifest destiny, the stealing of the land of the indigenous people. I hear all the arguments about it all the time. You know, that many of those Indian tribes are fighting each other. It doesn't make a difference. You know, we stole the land. That's the way, I mean, most countries, I'm not saying that we're hideous. I'm just saying this is human nature. I'm not making an excuse for it. There's that great French phrase, qui s'accusa, s'accusa. He who makes excuses for himself accuses himself. But slavery and genocide of the Native Americans, that is just a fact. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the movie Hostile. If not, go on demand and look at it. Hostile. It's a movie that was shot in New Mexico. Takes place with the cavalry when they're trying to move a chief who's stricken with cancer back to his home to die. And what a powerful movie. If you have not seen the movie Hostile, I strongly suggest that you watch it tonight. In any event, I mean, I can go on forever. I guess, you know, I'm not tooting our horns here because we're just flawed human beings like everybody, but we're the only New Mexico organization, to my knowledge, ever to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. We have 7 nominations, and the last 4 from prior winners of the Peace Prize who are on our advisory board, along with, you know, Democrats, Greens, Independents, Republicans. Gary Johnson is on our advisory board, which is great. But as I said before, we are an action-oriented entity. We try to engage within seconds and minutes. We don't like to go into the hour range, and, you know, please forgive us if we ever go more than a day. We are here because I don't want anybody to go through what my wife and I went through when our kids were suffering. And that was not getting a return call from the ACLU, not getting anybody on the phone saying, here, you fill out this form online, we'll get back to you. And other organizations, including the Anti-Defamation League, People for the American Way, and Americans United for Separation of Church and State. All good organizations in their own way, but they weren't responsive. When you're on freaking fire, you don't want someone to tell you, fill out this damn form on the goddamn internet and we'll get back to you, because you're on fire. So you're going to say the things that you have to say. And the same situation with Israel and Palestine. I've got family living in Israel, but I'm not going to sit back there. We have something called the law of proportionality. You know, 1,200 dead Israelis doesn't equal 40,000, or some say 119,000 dead Palestinians. And this thing didn't start on October 7th of last year. So it's, when you say the hard things that need to be said, it's difficult. There's nobody on this presentation right now who would not understand this.